Today I'm going to read you another picture storybook that I illustrated. This one is called Maddie's First Day. Can you remember your very, very first day at school? Maybe your mums and dads can as well. I can remember mine. Maddie's First Day, written by Penny Matthews and illustrated by me, takes you through just that one first day when Maddie starts school with her friends. When I illustrate my books, I love to hide things in the end papers. These ones, I've made them look a bit like children's drawings, and as you might see, I've put in some of the characters from the book, but I've also included, and the things that they were drawing, I've also included myself, here's the artist, and the author, Penny Matthews. I wrote to her and asked for a photograph of her so I'd know what she'd look like. And if you look very carefully as we go through the story, you'll see that this little character appears in the book again. Today, Maddie was going to school for the very first time. Her friends Charlie and Maya were going too. Maddie had a new school uniform. She had new shoes and new plain white socks with no frills or anything. She liked her hat best. Maddie's new backpack was already packed. Inside it were her pencil case full of colouring pencils, her painting smock, her water bottle, and Blanky. Maddie had hidden Blanky in her backpack when Mum and Dad weren't looking. Blanky was supposed to only be for bedtime now. Dad made Maddie a special lunch. Inside her new lunchbox he put celery sticks, a cheese sandwich, some grapes, orange juice in a little box, and a yummy brownie for recess. Everything was ready for Maddie's very first day. After breakfast, Maddie put on her school uniform. She did up all the buttons by herself, and then Mum did her hair in a perfect plait. "You look like a proper schoolgirl now," Mum told her. "Very grown up," said Dad. "Big hug," said Mum, "and then I have to run." Mum had to catch the train to work. Because she was feeling so grown up, Maddie didn't hold Dad's hand as they walked to school. But when they reached the school gate, Maddie started to feel wobbly in her tummy. School was very noisy. There were so many kids, and she couldn't see Maya or Charlie anywhere. She reached up for Dad's hand and held it tightly. Maddie's class teacher was called Miss Rose. Miss Rose said, "Welcome, Maddie," and she showed Maddie the locker where she could put her hat and her backpack, and there was a label on the locker with her name on it. Dad gave her a goodbye kiss. "Mum will pick you up after school," he said. "Have fun." "I will," said Maddie. And when Dad let go of her hand and walked away, that wobbly feeling in her tummy came right back. Maddie unzipped her backpack and took out Blanky. Blanky was soft and comfy and smelled like home. Then she heard somebody say, "Hello, Maddie." It was Maya. "Is that your Blanky?" she said. "Why did you bring your Blanky to school?" And Maddie stuffed Blanky back into her backpack and her tummy felt wobblier than ever. In Maddie's classroom there were books and computers and tables and little chairs. There was art on the wall and a whiteboard with big writing on it. Could everybody else read the writing? Maddie couldn't. First of all, Miss Rose taught them a song, and Maddie tried to sing, but her voice wouldn't come out. Afterwards, Maddie sat at a table with Maya and Charlie, and two other boys called Hussein and Henry. And when they were all drawing a picture of their favourite animal, Maya said, "Maddie brought her Blanky to school." And Hussein said, "What's a Blanky?" "Something babies have," Henry said. And Maddie stared out of the window, and she wished Mum was at the gate already waiting for her. But she wasn't. At recess, Charlie whispered, "Come with me." And he took Maddie's hand and he led her over to the lockers. And Charlie opened up his backpack. And guess what? Charlie had brought his Blanky to school as well. How funny was that? Maddie and Charlie both started to giggle. Maddie giggled so much she fell over, and then she giggled some more. After recess, they did counting. Maddie and Charlie counted with blocks and they made the highest tower. In their lunch break, Maddie and Charlie played chasey with Henry and Hussein and Maya, and they went on the roundabout and on the climbing frame. Back in the classroom, Miss Rose read them a story, and then everyone chose a book from the book box to take home. When the bell rang for the end of lessons, Mum was waiting at the gate. Maddie raced up to her and gave her a big hug. "How was your first day?" Mum asked. "It was the best day ever," said Maddie. Before Maddie went to bed that night, she put Blanky away in a drawer, but she left the drawer a tiny bit open, just in case. And now I'm going to show you how I made Maddie's first day. So I used pencils and I used paint, watercolour and collage, but I also used different textures in the background of this book. On one of the pages, on several of the pages, you can see the carpet from the school, and that was made by actually rubbing a crayon over a piece of paper over, guess what? A school chair. You know, they have that like textured plastics surface. I thought that'd be kind of fun. Anyway, remember Maddie, she was very nervous her first day at school, and she was very careful about putting her school uniform on for the very first time. And it kind of got me thinking, I wonder if every day she went to school, her school uniform looked exactly the same on her. So how about we do a drawing where, first one, I'm going to do two drawings. First one is Maddie, first day at school, really smart, looking lovely. And then the second one might be a little bit different. And how about when you do your drawing, you could draw Maddie, or how about you make it yourself in your school uniform, how you look when you're all smartened up and when you've had a really good day at school. Okay, so my first drawing is Maddie on her very first day of school. I quite often start with the eyes and the nose. She's happy, but a little bit nervous. Here's her face. And can you remember how she had her hair? Remember her mum and dad did her hair up in a big, long, look how you can do a plait just by going doom, 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 doom. Big, long plait. And she'd got her new school uniform on for the very first time. I'm not going to finish her hair off, because what have I got to put on the top of her hair? Her hat, that was her favourite thing. Her favourite part of the school uniform was her hat. So some of her hair is hidden by the crown of her hat. There's her school hat. And she is going to school for the very first day, so she's wearing that beautiful, neat school uniform. And it's got short sleeves. In Australia, we start school in the summertime, don't we? And I did a lot of research for this book, and I asked many children, and they all told me that their school shirts had 5 buttons. And a very important thing for a school shirt to have on it as well is the school logo. Maddie's school logo is a duck. And there's her shirt, and now her skirt and her arms. She's waving goodbye to Mum as off she goes, and she's not put her backpack on yet. She's just holding her other hand down there, but because she's just started school and her school uniform is brand new, it's a little bit long for her, so you can only actually just see her knees underneath the edge of her skirt. And she's got those lovely black patent leather shoes, and there's, she's walking to school. There's her other foot. She's all buttoned up neat and tidy. I could get my pencils and paints and crayons and just go colouring, but there's lots of different materials going on here, so I want to get a feeling of different textures, and I make a collection of lots of different surfaces. I've got this one that's bumpy, and another one that's got a different pattern, so I'm going to put that underneath my paper. And can you see how when I rub my crayon over the top, and I kind of like to use 2 different colours, move it a little bit, and then the bumps don't all line up. So it works just as well with pencil or with crayon. or even with a lead pencil. I want something different for her skirt. I've got so many different things. One thing, on my travels, somebody gave me this snake skin and I stuck it down to a piece of card. And it's got an amazing bumpy pattern. Most of Maddie's school uniform is checks. Why is it that so many people have that check pattern as a school uniform in New South Wales? Do you know that? And her skirt is red. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw over the bumps, and that just changes your drawing a little bit. It makes the line a bit more interesting, I think. And maybe, oops, darken up some of the red squares. Her shirt is different. It's a nice smooth cotton shirt. So maybe this is that Anaglipta wallpaper that just has a very, very slight bit of texture to it. So I don't really want that coming through that much. I just want to show some shadow because this is a white school shirt. We don't want it to look too dirty. So I might not do much colouring in at all here, though it is important that I show up the logo. And of course I need to colour in Maddie's skin. Oh, that's quite interesting with the texture underneath, isn't it? And carry on and carry on. And of course Maddie's got really dark hair, so I'd probably colour that in black. Sometimes I've got some very old books that I just found in a junk shop, and they have really nice covers that are kind of made of linen. And look, if you press your pen pretty hard, your pencil, and colour in over the backing of the book, then it actually does look a little bit like the leather texture on a pair of school shoes, brand new school shoes, all nice and shiny. Got to finish colouring in. Oh, I don't really want to spend all this time colouring in. I want to get on to the next bit of drawing. Because I'm thinking, okay, I can draw Maddie on her first day of school, saying goodbye to Mum, all neatly dressed up in her school uniform, looking top dollar, looking really good. Dad's just taken a photograph with her on his phone to send to the rest of the family because they're so proud of her. She's even got a matching bow in her hair. And then, of course, drawing number 2 could be Maddie. And she's been at school for a while now, and she still loves to get dressed in the morning, and she goes to school and she does PE and she gets dressed again and she puts her school uniform back on and she does the buttons up, and she maybe doesn't do the buttons quite right. What do you reckon? Have you ever done that? And one of her sleeves is a bit ruffled up. Got a pile of books in her hand. Oh, and she's got a vest on and she hasn't tucked that in either. And she's got one of those squat kind of skirts with the opening around the side, and she's got it twisted so it's gone all the way around there. And you remember that lovely neat black plait that she had? Oh, she has still got a hat on. And her hat's still in the right place. So there you go. There she is on another day at school, and oh, we forgot the logo. There's the little swan. So here's the picture that I made. Remember, 2 different Maddies, one really smart with her uniform all perfectly on, and one a little bit dishevelled. And those wonderful things that I found to put underneath my paper to make the rubbings with. Of course, ask an adult at home first, you know, don't just go kind of pulling books apart. But I'm sure there are surfaces that you can find around the home that you can lean on and use a crayon or a pencil to pick up the texture and make your drawings just so much more exciting. So have fun, everybody.